categorically states that both UK and Spain's position on sovereignty is untouched. And moreover, it goes on to say that whatever happens, whether it's entry of exits of people or customs or what have you, that cannot be used as a legal precedent to impact sovereignty. So it is very, very definitive on that and on that point. So no, it is completely and utterly untouched.
The treaty has been negotiated in a period of cooperation between the UK, the EU, and Spain.
And Gibraltar.
And Gibraltar. But what happens when governments change? How confident are you that operation will be untouched if a less cooperative Spanish government is elected after this one?
I mean, I think that's that's speculative. You could spend a lot of time wondering what happens if governments change. I mean, UK has just changed its prime minister. And I think it's not for me to speculate what a future government or future any change of course or what have you, because in a way, I mean, the treaty's been running for sort of just under a couple of weeks now, and the most important thing is focused on implementing it. And I think that's the best protection against anyone who might think, whether it's a friend or an adversary, might seek to sort of try and undermine the treaty. Is to make sure we implement it properly and to our best ability, whilst bearing in mind that no treaty looks dramatically different. And I think perhaps the mistake we all sort of can fall into is thinking this is about the treaty now versus the status quo as was a day or so before the treaty came into implementation on the 15th of July. It's not. The real alternative to having the treaty was having no negotiated outcome, no agreement on entry and exit of persons, which really means a hard border with the European Union entry and exit system, and it means no agreement on trade and goods as well. And so that is the alternative. And I think it's also worth bearing in mind that this treaty process, it's in the course of the time we've been negotiating it, we've been removed from the Financial Action Task Force list, we've been removed from the European Union list and the Spanish list on non-cooperative tax havens. So huge benefits have occurred during this process as well, and they may not have happened without the treaty negotiations.
What was your role in the build-up in the months and days leading up to the treaty signing?
So essentially, I wouldn't claim to have a big part at all in the treaty negotiation, because it was a treaty between UK and therefore it was largely negotiated in London with the European Union. But of course, the European Union consulted Spain very regularly, just as UK consulted Gibraltar very regularly. And so in the way that the convent here operates, I sort of sit in the middle between His Majesty's government and His Majesty's government of Gibraltar. So I can play a role in helping people understand each other's positions. I'm not at the sort of the coalface of the treaty negotiations, and therefore I could actually make some observations about certain things that could be done to overcome certain issues, and that includes in the military space as well.
Well, talking about the military space, you are both the governor and the commander-in-chief. Are you entirely satisfied that the treaty places no practical restriction on British military operations in Gibraltar?
Absolutely. I mean, it really doesn't impact. And the Spanish said both privately and publicly, that they wanted the base to operate as normal. It will operate as normal. We have derogations, as they're called, on the movement of soldiers, sailors, men and women in and out of Gibraltar. And the same would apply to goods. But we undertake to make sure none of those goods make their way into the civilian market. So a lot of it is assuring Spain that we keep a very accurate control. And of course, there are certain things, munitions that, of course, we safeguard. But then there are also, what could be described as dual-use items that might have an attractiveness on the single market, in the European market, and therefore we absolutely undertake to safeguard those. And I think the other thing I'd say is there seems to be a sort of a view that UK was sort of only interested in the base. and nothing else. I just don't think anything could be further from the truth. And my observation would be, in all the time we've been negotiating this treaty, I think probably less than 1% of the diplomatic effort has been on the military side. 99% has been on the other side, movement of civilians and people and trade and goods and so forth for the benefit of the Gibraltar economy. So, UK is not singularly focused on the military side.